Hello, this is Jeff Altgilbers, and I want to welcome all of you to our Monday mentoring call. I'm a Platinum International Diamond with 4Life Research, and I've been with the company 16 years. It's been a great experience. Certainly wasn't easy, the first 5 years, that's for sure. But I believe so strongly in our vision of transfer factor and the difference we can make in the world, and when now we see that really happening. I'm excited to have so many of you from around the United States and Canada, North America, and even Tony, welcome, our new member that's using our system from Norway. So glad to have so many of you on this call, and I want to make this a productive call. The purpose of this call is basically to share information on what I'm doing. As a Platinum International Diamond. I'm a President's Club member, so I'm not a Platinum that qualifies once every year or every 2 years or every 3 years. I do it every month, and there's about 4 of us that do. So I'm very open as far as sharing information as to what I'm doing and how things have changed for me. I learned a long time ago and I've been involved in network marketing since 1978. So since 1978, I don't know how many years that is. I don't even want to think about it. But since that time, I've watched network marketing evolve, and some of the frustrating things was always to, find out what you have to do to be successful. There's nothing more frustrating than going to these conventions and watch these people walking across stage and see them, at the pin rank that they are, or you might have been in Miami and saw some of us walk across stage with a $50,000 check, and then you get so frustrated because you're like, why am I not growing? Why am I not advancing in rank? I mean, we have a saying about a definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. That's a definition of insanity. But if we're doing the same things over and over again and the results have never changed, well, isn't that a definition of insanity? I mean, we apply it to others, but can we apply it to ourselves? And see, I've always been one of these people that, look, all I want to know is, how do you do network marketing today? How do you do it? I know how I did it when I started with 4Life 16 years ago. I know how we did it then. And frankly, if I did it today the way I did it then, I promise you I would fail. I promise you I would probably not even make it to the diamond level. That's right. Now, why is that? Why is that? Because I'm the same. No, I'm a whole different person today than I was back then. I mean, I went through so much personal growth in these years, in these 16 years. I mean, my life totally changed. I mean, I'm the guy that had to sell a junk truck to get started in this business. I was bankrupt and broke, if you remember my story. And so that was how I got started, by selling a junk truck, putting $200 into my business. And today my business, is between $17, $18 million a month. How do you do that? And see, the things I did back then, and coming from those circumstances, and becoming a world traveler in the life I've experienced, and it's been amazing, been totally amazing. But I want to go back there, 16 years ago. I always say that the principles never change in this business, but the tools do. Remember that. The principles never change, the tools do. And what were the tools back then when I got started? Some of you have seen that video of me, talked about my story, and they came here and they filmed it. You might have saw some of the bears in my yard here in the Great Smoky Mountains in Tennessee. And you might remember in my story when I was talking about, there actually was a picture of me where it showed me at my desk with my list out, my prospect list out. I had no computer, if you noticed that. Not a computer. I only had a phone. And so that was it. I used my phone skills, and I had a fax machine. And we had, at that time, a hotline. And it was an 800 hotline with Dr. Rob Robertson talking about transfer factor. Now, when I joined For Life, I mean, I was very passionate about reaching my goals. And I had one simple goal: get to $5,000 a month as fast as you can. It was stamped on my brain. I didn't have to write that goal out. And so I went from 8 to faint. That is 8 in the morning till I fainted at night. I mean, it was like that, you know. I mean, my food was sort of pushed under my door, like I'm in a jail cell, right? But I was so busy calling people and doing what? Getting them on the 800 hotline and listen to that message. See, I kept it simple. I told the friends that started with me at the time, I said, don't do any meetings. Don't mail out any packages. Back then we had, you know, cassette tapes and things like that. And I said, don't mail that out. I said, what you do is you get them to listen to that 800 hotline. You call them back the same day and you put them in the business. Don't complicate it. Don't create a lot of steps in this process. And did it work? Absolutely. We put in 800 people in 90 days. We kept it simple. Now, would I do that today? Will we try to get people in on a hotline today? No, of course not. Why? Well, because the world has changed, right? It's changed, and that's the subject of my call tonight. Every week, and we do these if, you know, provided we don't have holidays or there's not something crazy going on. But every time we do one of these calls, we have a different subject or theme that I like to share with you, principles of success that hopefully you could apply in your business and could help you. Well, I'd like to get into it and talk about the business that we are in. When I was asked in 1978, what is the business I'm in? When somebody would ask me that, I would always reply and say direct sales. Because at that time I was in Forever Living products. You might remember those yellow jugs and aloe vera juice, and we would make home deliveries just like the pizza people did, and drive around town with all those jugs in the back of the car, and that's what we did. But, you know, later in the mid-'80s, when I was asked, what business are you in, I didn't say direct sales. And again, in 1978, I didn't understand the model of network marketing. It was still evolving in a way. But in the 80s, my answer was, when they asked me what business I'm in, then I would say multi-level marketing. I didn't say direct sales, I'd say multi-level marketing. And at that time, the thing was to have an office, to have a corporate approach to network marketing so that people could bring their prospects in the office and somebody who knew how to present the plan would present the plan. And I did this three presentations a day. I do a 10 o'clock, I do a 2 o'clock, and I do a 7 o'clock. And so the leaders would go there. Sometimes we'd run ads and all that, and prospects would come in as well. And that was the sort of the approach that we had, because again, we came out of, I'm a baby boomer, so we came out of that generation that, you know, that everybody's got to go to work for corporate America, right? So we wanted to give multi-level marketing, as we called it then, a corporate image. And that way it became more acceptable to people. And that was really how we did it back then. But now in the 1990s, when somebody asked what business are you in, I wouldn't say multi-level marketing. I would say, well, I'm involved in network marketing. Now, what changed that? What changed that? Well, we saw that at that time then, that was the evolution of the Internet. When that was taking off, the whole world was opening up to us. We could actually reach people in other countries, in my case, outside of the United States. And I had not been outside of the United States. But now we had that opportunity where actually we could do that. And I'll take that back. I will say, when I said, I'll just say I wasn't outside of North America. I had been to Canada. Matter of fact, I used to do meetings in Ontario and Nova Scotia and in Quebec. I used to travel up through there and do meetings. But outside of North America, I'd never left North America. So, but now we have the World Wide Web, and now we had a different answer to what we described what we do, which is network marketing. And so the thing about it is, when we talk about today, when somebody asks me today, well, what business are you in? What would I say today? What would you say today? Well, at For Life, we have a slogan, together building people, right? We are in the people business. So when somebody asks me today, what do you do? I reply, I say, I'm involved in social network marketing. Social network marketing. Now, of course, they don't know what that is, but their minds are working, And I said, well, you're involved in social networking yourself. Do you have a Facebook account? Oh, you do. You're involved in social networking. The difference between me and you is I get paid on it. You don't. Would you like to get paid on it? It's those kind of things. Well, what makes it social? Social media made it so. Before network marketing, it would be comparable to, I guess you could compare it to like flying, before we called it network marketing, back when we called it multi-level marketing, it was a vehicle, it was moving and all that. But now that the internet is here, it was like the space shuttle. Now our companies could really take off. A company like For Life, even other companies. I mean, you look at Amway and Nu Skin and Herbalife, the numbers they do, like in Asia, is huge, absolutely huge. And we're headed that direction. So a lot has changed. And so because of the birth of the internet, because of social media, now we can just about go anywhere you want to go. Anywhere you want to go. So today, it's like a professional social networker's dream come true that all this has happened, because now you have all this at your fingertips. So many tools at your fingertips that you never had before. You can Skype prospects in any country, India, Argentina, Japan, wherever you want to work. I mean, we never had that back when I got started in this business, even when I started with For Life. It's so much easier now. But now that you can connect with people that you never knew before, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's like a mosquito on a beach with opportunity all around you. But I don't want to oversimplify this, because you can miss out on leveraging on one of the most important things, and that is the types of generations that we've had since World War II. I think that's one of the biggest misunderstandings, or I guess the word is illusions. And it's the illusion that we think we understand one another when we don't. See, the perception of let's say a baby boomer, their perception of life, and then you take a Generation X, his perception of life, or you take a Millennium generation, or a millennial generation rather, some call it Generation Y, and their perception of life, it's so different. It is so incredibly different. So those are the things I want to talk about. I want to talk about that because that affects your prospecting. To prospect effectively, you must understand people. And to prospect effectively, you've got to have the tools. Important in that, sandwiched in that, is the message. The message. If the message isn't right, they're not going to join you. They're not going to join you. And that's the trouble some of you are having. And so I want to talk about that briefly. So, let's look at really what's driven successful network marketing companies in the past 20 years. To begin with, I can tell you one thing, one generation that really drove it strong. And I can say that because in the 80s, I was part of that movement. And that was your baby boomers. Your baby boomer generation. I don't know if some of you are familiar with that expression. I know many of you will be. Some of you may not. They were born between 1946 and 1964. They basically fall into two groups. One is the Save the World revolutionaries of the 60s and 70s, and then the party-hardy career climbers, the yuppies, we call them, of the 70s and 80s. They're an interesting, phenomenal. I mean, I loved it. I mean, I loved growing up in that. It was crazy, but I loved it in the 1960s. The hippies and all that. You know, keep in mind, I was a rock drummer, and I'm a songwriter today. But it was incredible to see what happened in the United States. But it was called the me generation, the rock and roll generation. I mean, everything, you know, like the Beatles said, all we need is love. All we need is love. And then the thing was, then later on, so many of us ended up running to corporate America, thinking that's what we had to do. But what was interesting about the baby boomers and how this impacted network marketing very strongly was that this generation, you know, even though their mothers were generally housewives responsible for all child rearing, the women of this generation began working outside the home in record numbers, thereby changing the entire nation. I say United States specifically, and I no doubt this was true of Europe. And as this was the first generation to have their own children raised in a two-income household, first generation for that to happen. So that's very significant, because when you look at the percentages, the percentages of the workforce in network marketing, 80% of your workforce are women. Guys, you may not like hearing that. It's the truth. It's the truth. A lot of the drivers in For Life, I can tell you, are women. They're very good at this business. But that's true in other companies, too. When you look at other companies, and that's been my experience even during those baby, you know, that baby boomer generation that I ran with, that I started with back in 1978 and on into the 80s. I can tell you a lot of the drivers were women. And that was very significant, and we never saw anything like it. Now, I can tell you that's only accelerated. I don't know what the actual percentages would be, and I don't know how accurate that would be. But it would not surprise me if nothing's changed or become more. So it's pretty powerful, because it was one of the largest generations in history with 77 million people. And for some reason, I don't know why, but the baby boomers, we weren't supposed to get old. We were the exception of all the generations. We were supposed to all be young and beautiful, you know, our entire lives. In a way, we were immortal, right? And so that's another generation that's very, very interested in taking care of their health, which is one reason why For Life thrives today. We do so well. This kind of generation is very interested in our product, Transfer Factor Plus, our flagship product for the immune system, as well as our skincare line. So many of our products that we have, this generation just eats it up today. There's a downfall to this generation, though, and I want to talk about that in a little bit, but not right now. I'm going to go on to the next one, and that has to do with Generation X. Between 1965 and 1980, that's when these people were born, totally different from baby boomers, 65 and 80. These were called the latchkey kids. They grew up in street-smart but isolated homes, often with divorced or career-driven parents. So latchkey came from the house key kids wore around their necks, because, you know, when they came home, nobody was there. They needed a key to get in the house. So their perception of the world is just totally different. And this is a generation without computers. They didn't grow up around computers. Maybe some of them got introduced to computers when they were in high school. But they have a desire to learn and explore, contribute. It also became one of the highest generations, or the generation, they call it the divorce generation, because they saw so much of it and experienced so much of it. The interesting thing about it is that this generation averages 7 career changes in their lifetime. Think about that. When my father, he was a plant manager for a company, and when he started with that company, he finished in the same industry. I think only twice he changed, but he stayed in the same industry. So he didn't go through a career change. He stayed in the same career. But when we think about Generation X, they're not very satisfied. They move around. It's interesting to note those facts. Notice this. Here's what a Generation X network marketer said about his experience after joining the business and why Generation X people are great prospects. I'm going to quote him. He said, "We're passionate, and we have not been sucked into the deception of corporate America. We have no illusions about secure corporate jobs. As a matter of fact, the only thing we have become disillusioned with is the life our parents have settled for. We watch them give up on their dreams of grandeur, of financial independence, their dreams of being somebody. We watched as our parents got sucked into the deception of corporate America. We watched as both of our parents drove off to corporate America. And where has it gotten them? Layoffs, downsizing, mergers, and in some cases bankruptcies, as they watched their companies rob them of their retirement plans due to fraud and corporate deception." So that was a quote from a leader, a Generation X leader. I appreciated that comment. Of course, his parents would have been baby boomers. And I can say that my siblings, my brothers, they did the same thing. Just like my father, we all believed you get an education, you go to work for a company for 40 years and have a few years left to enjoy your life, and you die. And that's the American dream. And so Generation Xers are very much anti-corporate America. They're very independent. They're actually perfect prospects to introduce your business to have an independent lifestyle. It's an incredible generation for that. And so then that brings us to the next generation I wanted to talk about. My throat's a little dry tonight, so excuse me. This brings us to our next generation. That's the millennial generation. Some call them Generation Y. You need to learn about them, and you need to know them. Because if you don't, your future's going to be short in network marketing. It's very important to understand this generation. And this generation, they basically say that their ranges start from the early 1980s to the 2000s, somewhere right around there. I'm going to quote a 2010 Pew Research Center survey, found that one of the important things to millennials, different from the Generation Xers in a way, they're very passionate about family life, about being a good parent. So divorce is not that's not something they want to go through. Most show evidence of a generation that is highly educated. These folks are very educated, self-confident, technologically savvy, and ambitious. Now, friends, doesn't that sound like a perfect generation to target? People that like to read. Leaders are readers. And a lot of people quit reading when they get out of high school. They say, okay, I got my education, or they went to a university, and then that's it. They quit their education process. These people love to read, and they can't get enough of it. Self-confident. Boy, that'd make a good team member. Technologically savvy. Wow. Great. And ambitious. One of the often cited aspects that distinguishes the millennials is they are extremely connected. The Pew Research found that millennials use social media and text on their cell phones significantly more than other generations. Unsurprisingly, they found that millennials are also more likely to view technology in a very favorable light. Today, their average age is around 27. Now, I want you to pay attention to that. Their average age is 27. I asked Hugo Johnson, who's a Platinum International Diamond in my team, when we were out in Hawaii a few months ago. I asked him, I said, Hugo, when you look out there in the audiences, where is the average age starting at? He said, 35 and up. And I shook my head. I said, that's not good, Hugo. They need to start, it needs to be 20 and up. Do you realize I had one young man in his early 20s, Nazareth, Gold International Diamond, when he reached Gold International Diamond in his 20s? Well, social networks, as it says here, are the way they communicate. 81% of affluent Generation Y adults use Facebook every day. Every day. So, it says here that, going on to say they like schedules. That's interesting. I'm going to tell you right now, when I grew up, the baby boomers, they weren't crazy about them. Because all we needed was love, right? They feel enormous academic pressure. They feel like a generation and have great expectations of themselves. Notice this. They prefer digital reading as they grew up in a digital environment. Having never known a world without computers, they get all their information and most of their socialization from the internet. They prefer to work in teams. With unlimited access to information, they tend to be assertive and with strong views. Another comment here. They do not live to work, but prefer a more relaxed work environment. Think about that. In other words, folks, they don't want to wear suits and ties and do this business. Matter of fact, that'll be the reason why they'll want to come to our business if they don't have to dress up for it like that. In other words, if they can just be themselves. Well, that's some interesting facts about the millennial generation, the Generation Y. You know what? You know what happens when you put a baby boomer who's a leader at a table with a millennial leader? You know what happens? Confusion. I have seen and heard so many leaders lose young people today, and they don't know why. Well, here's why. Because they don't understand them. And that's why I'm sharing this information with you. Again, you remember the stats I just shared with you about the millennial generation. They prefer reading digitally as they grow up in a digital environment. They have never known a world without computers. They get all their information and most of their socialization from the internet. What does that mean? That means that for them to join your business, you have to present your business in a way that they understand it. I am married to a Chinese woman from Taiwan. Some of you know Michelle. If she looks at me and starts talking Mandarin, I won't know what she's talking about. Matter of fact, I have these conversations. My 6-year-old speaks fluent Mandarin, and he'll talk Mandarin to his mother. And I'll say, "What are you talking about?" And he'll look at me and say, "Daddy, learn Mandarin." Well, that's the problem we have with the millennial generation people. The baby boomers and some of Generation X people don't understand them. And that's the thing. That's what we have to do. If they grew up around computers and they're so connected to technology, and that's really what they relate to, that's like a language, it's like Mandarin to them, then we have to learn that language. We have to learn it. In other words, the biggest problem that we have today is we keep thinking as we did 20 years ago. In other words, you can take, and I spoke with a man about this recently. I spoke with a man last week, a very successful man, very accomplished. He's helped other companies develop their products. I mean, his credentials are out the wazoo. And he told me, he said, "Jeff, let me tell you something." He said, the problem with the baby boomers in North America is they're living in the past. They don't know how to present today. They don't know how to get started. They don't know how to put their left foot in front of the right foot. Let me tell you something. They knew how to do that 15 years ago. They knew how to do it. And they could do it with excitement. And they were effective, just like I was. I was effective when I started with 16 years ago, the way I did it back then. Again, principles never change. The tools do, right? But back then, we knew how to do it. But the problem is, a lot of these leaders are living in the past. They haven't made that paradigm shift. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to present our opportunity to these young people today, and nobody's buying it. Nobody wants to do it. So, it reminds me of the companies back then that sold black and white TVs in the 50s. And when the talk was about color TVs coming, they scoffed about it and said, "Who would want that? We're selling so many black and white TVs, nobody's going to want color." Well, all that changed in the 60s, isn't it? But that's the way a lot of the baby boomers today, that generation, they're presenting it in black and white. And the millennial generation is screaming, "We want color." So when we think about all that, we have to learn one thing, and that is we have to make changes in our business. And I had to learn this too. When I moved back to the United States over 6 years ago, I saw our leaders presenting the way we were taught 20 years ago. I also saw that our own distributor kits, I remember when I came back, moved back to the United States, I lived in Asia for 6 years. But when I came back, I ordered a distributor kit from For Life, and I looked at it because I hadn't seen one in 6 years. And I thought, wow, this mirrors what we did 20 years ago in network marketing, or when I started with For Life. It just wasn't, nothing had changed. I saw at that time change was needed. And I went out and talked to people. I looked at other companies, what they're doing, who's growing, who's doing well, why are they doing well. I also talked to people who develop tools for companies, and people who understand this change. And I hired them to put together a system that we now use. It is a system that the millennial generation wants today. That is a system that is based on technology. Our tools stream to computers, iPads, or smartphones. Our education is digital, and our online video presentation can easily be sent via email or message service. I can't explain to you how important this is or emphasize it more, because when we look at how things have changed, remember, the baby boomer generation was the first generation to see a housewife go to work, and you had a two-income family now. And how that's evolved today, of course, now most people, husband and wife, they all work. They all have their careers. They all do different things and all that. But the thing about it is, when you look at women today, and 80% of network marketing is women, they have responsibilities. They have children. Family life's important to them. They would like to be home. The problem with the old way of how we did network marketing 20 years ago, when we said, okay, I've got an opportunity that's going to change your life. You're going to have all the time in the world, but here's what you got to do. That time that you got left, you need to go out and you need to do presentations. That's what you do. I'll teach you how to do a presentation, and we're going to go out and we do presentations. Or you're going to bring your prospect to where the local meeting is. And so they go through all that. The little time they had for the family, well, that's gone. How long does that last before they quit today? Matter of fact, 20 years ago, we had time. Today, no time. There is no time. Matter of fact, if anything, I would say that time is the money of the 21st century. So they're going to be very choosy about what they do with it. And so that's the struggle. When I was in Brooklyn with George, we went and did a meeting. When they found out I was in the city, they said, "Will you come and do a meeting?" And so I went to an INT meeting there. And at the meeting there, I asked, I said, how many people invite people to a meeting like this and they don't come? Well, all the hands went up. And I said, well, they're telling you something. They're telling you they don't want to come to your meeting. They're not saying they don't want to join your business. They're just saying they don't want to come to your meeting. Because of the time, especially in New York City, oh my gosh, when I was with George, it was like an hour and a half to get from one side of New York to from Manhattan to Brooklyn. It was amazing. But the thing is, I'm not saying, should they stop their meetings? No, not at all. I tell everybody everywhere, if you have a meeting that's going and people are supporting it, continue to do it. But at the same time, you've got to have balance in this business. And you've got to understand this thing that we call the millennial generation. And really, even the Generation Xers have all changed. The millennial generation has affected them. The whole world, just the whole technology has affected all of us. Look at me. Look at me. I didn't get my first computer until 1999. 1999. And I only did it because Dave Daughtry kept ridiculing me. Oh, you want to be a professional network marketing? You don't have a computer. So I bought one to shut him up. Then I had to get a friend come over and set it up. It was one of those dinosaur computers. But the thing about it is, a lot of us have changed. I had to change. I had to change or I'd be left behind. And when I came back to America 6 years ago, I said, you know what? I want to teach this the way it's got to be taught today. There's nothing that bothers me. There's nothing that bothers me more than hearing about 4 or 5 people that struggle. There's no reason why you should have to struggle. It is so much easier. Do you realize when I did network marketing back then, 20 years ago, we sent these packages out. They were $5 a piece. Phone calls were 25 cents a piece. I mean, it wasn't easy. It was expensive. It costs money to be in this business. Now, look at us. Now we can get on Skype, call people internationally for free. That's amazing. Do Skype calls. I did they had a Korean convention, and they put me on Skype the other night with them, and I talked to all these Koreans at a convention. It was awesome. I mean, all this technology, so much of it's free. But I want to get back to the system. The system that you need to have if you are going to attract the Generation Y, the Millennial generation, the Generation X people, as well as baby boomers. They're slow. They're the slowest ones, but they're coming around. So the thing about it is, this system has got to stream to all these devices: computer, iPad, smartphones. Your presentation needs to stream to them. And very important to this system, each member must have a professional website. That's real time. And that was the other thing that I told them I wanted. I said, listen, we have to have replicated websites so that when somebody enrolls a person into For Life, the next thing that they enroll them in is our system, because then you're equipping them for success. If you don't do that, you're setting them up for failure. And I promise you, they will quit you in 90 days. They'll quit. They'll either tell you I quit, or their activity will quit, because that's the romance stage. And when you have them in the romance stage, that's when you need to do everything you can to encourage them. I promise you, if you get them the diamond, they'll stay with you. They will stay with you. So, that being the case, you must equip them for success. You must do that if you're going to be successful. And again, because my online system is free, yeah, I'm one of these networkers that did not want to profit off you. I'm not like the others that sell books and DVDs and CDs. How many people did that in the Amway? Made a fortune just on the tools alone. And don't think I didn't think about it. I've heard the expression that, there's no value in free. Well, that was the problem that I struggled with. Will they really take it seriously? Because this system is like transfer factor. If you have transfer factor, will that make you healthy? No. Using transfer factor makes you healthy. Having the system does not make you successful. Using the system makes you successful. So back to what I was talking about. Sorry, I got sidetracked. So the other part to the system is this, and that is, again, replicated websites. So you upload your photo, you upload your story, just like Facebook, boom. It's automated, you're good to go. Now you're in business. I also recommend that you do other things too, like have a LinkedIn page. Be a professional. If you want people to take you serious, then look like a professional. We're not shoe salesmen. This isn't 20 years ago we're going around with brochures. We don't do that now. Now, I want to say that with, let me back up. Let me correct myself. We do that in some places, and there's nothing wrong with it. Keep in mind, one thing that you'll see when you read my ebook, if you haven't read it, I talk about online and offline doing this business. Offline means we do meetings. Offline means, yes, we do have brochures. In the Philippines, if some of you leaders listening from the Philippines, they'll be listening to this call, that's critical to your business. Doing meetings is critical to your business. In India, we do a lot of meetings. A lot of people do not have access 24/7 to the Internet. They don't. So, again, it's the yin, it's the yang, it's the balance. Some of your business will be offline. Some of your business will be online in those countries. But in these countries that are very much into technology and they connect to it constantly, you'll know, go to your restaurants, go to your malls, what are they doing? I'm going to tell you 20 years what they were doing. They were talking to one another. What are they doing today? Looking at their smartphones. Am I right or am I wrong? And I know, Toyney was sharing that's what they do in Norway, in Europe. So that's what happens. So back to the system. So then what we offer these individuals, we offer them a replicated system so that they can invite people to their page. Now the landing page acts as a lead capture page, meaning that when people go to, they click on your URL, and you can email it to them, you can text it to them, you can leave it on a social media platform such as Facebook and all that. But when they go to it, then that landing page acts as a lead capture page. It's like a fishing hook. And that is, you can place it anywhere. You can put that URL anywhere, on any website, and social media, anywhere, Facebook. But when somebody clicks on that link, it will take them right to your website where a video about lifestyle will play. Now, in that video, that's only a few minutes long, it'll tell that person they can learn all about this lifestyle in a 10-minute video. All they have to do is fill out the information to the right, which is just their name, their email address, their phone number, and they submit it, and they go right into the presentation. When that happens, the system will email you and let you know somebody's looking at your presentation. And then you can call them and say, hey, saw you were looking at my presentation. What do you think? So that's how that works. So instead of just having a landing page with your photo and your story that nobody's going to read, by the way, why not make it into something useful? And in this case, we decided to make it a lead capture page. Then it empowered you with a tool that you could put that link anywhere you want, and you can drive traffic to that. And again, it costs you nothing to do that, right? Some of the other features on that page, of course, there's a subject bar at the top, and that if they want to learn more about the company, the product, the compensation plan, and then there's about me. And so that's when they click on that, they go, and then they see your photo. Then they're more inclined to read about your story. And you can embed a video there where where you can welcome them. You can do that from your phone. We have an instructional video on that. And where you get that, and that's the other feature to this system, and that is we have a back office that's password secured. So you put in your password, you go in your back office, that's where your stuff is. That's where your tools are. And in that back office, you'll see an ebook, your guide to financial independence. That book will explain to you the 10 steps of duplication. The 10 steps of duplication that you have to master to be successful in this business. And it's not difficult. It's an easy read. And the pages are highly illustrated. We got really some awesome pictures on those pages. The beauty of that, again, keep in mind, the millennial generation likes to read in a digital format, right? They love it. They love it. And it costs nothing. This book costs nothing. It's free. And so when you enroll somebody in the For Life, and then when you enroll them in the system, then they can immediately start reading the book. That is so critical to your business. And here's why. When I ask many of the leaders who've been in For Life for many years, I'll ask them, how long does it take when a person joins to actually become a leader? And the common answer that I get back is 2 years. 2 years. because it just takes them forever to get through and learn things and, whatever. So the thing about it is, you don't have 2 years. You got 2 months. You got 3 months as far as the romance stage to get them in profit, to get them to the diamond level. And that's what you want to do in 90 days. You want them as a diamond. You want them as a diamond. And how you're going to do that is you are going to be able to get them to read that book, get them around that learning curve as fast as they can, and then they see how simple it is. Again, keep in mind, 80% of your workforce are women, and they need to be home. They need to be around their children. Hey, when their children come home from school, they help them with their homework. They feed their husband, feed the kids, park them in front of the TV set, and they say, okay, now I'm going to go down the hallway, and I'm going to work the business for 1 hour, okay? And then after that, then I'm yours. Imagine that. And if you did that every night, take the weekends off if you want. 5 nights a week, you call your friends, and you just share your excitement. Hey, I'm involved in something. I think it's something we both can do together. Have a lot of fun. Make a lot of money. I want you to look at it. I'm going to email it to you. It's 10 minutes long. Give it your undivided attention. I'm calling you in 30 minutes. And when you call them back, you're at the 4life.com website. You're ready to put them in. This is not complicated, friends. You know what complicates it? Our stinking thinking. That's right. Our stinking thinking. Creating too many steps. Just like I told the leaders back then, 17 years ago. I said, don't complicate this thing. Just let them listen to the message. Put them in. It's not complicated. What complicates it is our own thinking. Somebody asks me, who's your competition? I tell them, me. Me. I'm my competition. When I look in the mirror, it's my attitude. It's my thinking. That's my competition. If I can ever get over myself, I'll be rich. Well, I got over myself. And I hope you do too. That's part of the system, that book. It's so critical. And then we have, the 10-minute videos. You'll notice that in the 10-minute videos that there's what we call leader, diamond, and option, meaning they can join as a leader or a diamond. So I leave that up to you to choose because you know your prospects better than I do, which hook you're going to use with them. It's all the same presentation, just a different way to join at the end. There's other tools and other features in the back. We have our audio library that has our conference calls. We also have our video library, which is just instructional videos, things like that. There's quite a lot in the back office. So I urge you to get familiar with it. And then the other thing is, how do we duplicate this thing? That's important, isn't it? Because, for example, when you enroll 6 people, you know those 6 individuals, don't you? You spend time, you're training them, you're making sure they read the e-book, they know the e-book. You make sure that they get their website up and running. You make sure that they get their prospect list out. And now they don't complicate it. They dedicate that time to go down that hallway, close that door, email that link out, do the 30-minute follow-up, put them in. You do that. With those 6, you know them. You know what the problem is when you start getting down to your 3rd and 4th level? You don't know those people. You don't know what's going on in your group because you got too many. That's why you have to have a system. And that's why your system has to be online. And the fact that we're global, in my case, I get paid, I don't know, I've lost track. It's like 55, 56 countries today. You know what? That's incredible, the opportunity that you have, my friend. The fact that in any of these countries now, you can enroll people in the system. And you'll notice in the back office, under the book, if you haven't seen it, you'll see it, there's a button that says sign up a new member. You just click on that button. That's how you enroll your downline. It's a simple form, their name, their email address, a few other things, and that's it. Submit it, and then it goes right out to them. They can log in and immediately put up their website and then start reading that book and get familiar with the back office. So keep in mind, how you duplicate it is always you. It starts with you. You have to enroll your members. They have to enroll their members. And if everybody duplicates it, you're not going to have a problem with duplication. And that's the DNA of our business. What do we call cancer? Cancer's not proper duplication in health, is it? That's right. When the cells aren't duplicating properly, that's called cancer. We don't need cancer in this business, friends. And how we avoid it is we get everybody to duplicate it this way. And keep in mind, it's free. Everything is free. And that's how you grow fast. That's how you grow like I did back 17 years ago when I joined my first 90 days and we put 800 members in. We kept it simple. We didn't complicate this process. So those are some of the things that I wanted to share with you, that to understand people, we are in the people business, as I said in the beginning of this call. Our slogan for life is together building people. Well, we got to understand people, and the greatest illusion is thinking that we understand one another when we really don't. So baby boomers are different. Generation Xers are different. The millennial generation people are different. And let me tell you something. If you come around and understand how they want to be presented, that this is how they want to be presented. They want the tools this way. This is the way they want to do the business. If you just sell it to them the way they want it sold, they will join your business. And one thing I'm excited about, I don't mean to make this call too long, but I'm too excited about this, but our protein product that we've got coming out, our body transformation product that's coming out in April, it's going to turn this industry on its head. On its head. This will be the most incredible, and I'll tell you what, this is a perfect product for those millennial generation, those young people. They're going to love it. They are going to love it. I'm planning on right now on developing a new video that's going to focus mostly on, well, almost entirely on this product. I plan to shoot it in a gym. I plan on having some very nice, healthy young men who are in for life. I've got some in mind that I plan on using in this video. And it's going to be incredible. And we're going to show people how easy it is to be on a 100 LP order. Let me tell you, these people spend far more than that on their products. It's incredible, this industry, how much money is in that industry. Well, when we show them how they can get their products for free, how they can do it for free, introduce it to two, and your products are free, it'll be an awesome video, and I'm excited about it. I want to have it ready by April. I'm so pumped about this. I mean, sometimes I can't sleep, but this will be a powerful tool. I didn't think about doing any new videos until I talked to Dr. Chris Lockwood when we saw this product, and I used it tonight when I went into my gym. And I mean, this is going to be so awesome. It's such an incredible company that we are a part of, my friends. And the thing about it is, we're still a small company compared to the giants, like Amway, Herbalife, Nu Skin. Wow, look at how still great they're doing after all these, 20, 30, 40 years for Amway. Incredible, incredible. Think about your future, how your future can change if you start understanding the millennial generation, if you start understanding how Generation X people think, and then even baby boomers. It's going to be an awesome experience in sharing these tools. And now, like I said about Hugo Johnson, he said average people in his group are 35 and up. Imagine if that changed and it was 20 and up joining your team. With that new protein product, you're going to see it happen. I promise you, you're going to see it happen. So I want to encourage all of you, if you're not part of the system, you can message me on Facebook. If you don't know how to spell my name, look in the Summit magazine. I'm joking. It is a German name, though. And so please, you can, if you're not part of the system, I'll be glad to help you out. Hopefully, whoever got you on the call can enroll you. And that's it. Get going. Get started. I really look forward to reading about your success in the Summit magazine, seeing you in the Summit magazine. I'm excited about our convention coming up in April. I'm so glad you made the call. I'm so sorry this call, went on as long as it did. And what I'm going to do is close out the call. But thank you for being on the call. And this call, by the way, will be up on YouTube. George will put it up there. It won't take him long, in a day or so. So if you want to share this call with people that didn't make it, that's the reason why we record these calls, and then you can share that call with someone else, and then you can help them to understand why we need to change. We need to come out of that paradigm shift that baby boomers, I'm talking about network marketing baby boomers, are stuck in. They're stuck in the old world ways of doing network marketing, and adapt to the new ways of doing network marketing today. Boy, what a difference. And the difference it'll make when you start attracting millennials to your opportunity, wow, your organization's going to go. It's going to be unreal how fast it's going to grow. Yes, it'll happen for you like it did for me back 17 years ago. Remember, the principles never change, only the tools. Thank you for being on this call tonight, and look forward for you, all of you, being on the call next Monday night. I'm going to open the line up. I am going to stop recording now, but I'm going to open up the line so we can hear the screaming kids and everybody can say goodnight.